I am someone who's always been quite private with my life, and especially on social media. This channel probably been the least private thing I've done in years. I say years because I was just a kid when Instagram and other apps first came out, and back then it was no holds bars. Everyone can see everything and I'm willing to tell. It was like being the first gen Facebook mom. Even still, after maybe 2 or 3 years of having that, as well as growing a little older and entering my adolescence, I grew a feeling of not wanting to tell the world about what happened to me. Although that may seem self-centered, I don't know what the correct term would be. I'm pretty much saying me being worried about the world seeing it was just a fantasy in my head realistically. I wouldn't ever need to worry about something like that, but there was still that thought of random people seeing it at least. So I started posting less, and then eventually that turned into me not really posting ever, as I figured out that probably 80% of the people that were actually seeing it were just people who were once friends, and the ones who I did still consider friends would see it anyway, because I would actually want to tell them. Which brings me to the next part of privacy, and it's the importance of establishing what you feel comfortable with sharing in real life as a person. Now I will say that by no means do I feel that I keep everything private. Mental health wise, I find it easier to share my story, as mental health is something that feels so common nowadays, and even with that, there's still this unease with mentioning or talking about it, especially lads, although lasses are just the same. So as someone that finds it easier, I usually like to share tiny snippets from my life and experiences with them in hopes that they know that it's not just them, and that even someone maybe they've only met once or twice is going through similar, and even if they don't end up speaking about their situation and their struggles, it at least makes them feel more at ease. But as I said in that, I only shared tiny snippets. See, even though I really want to help anyone and thoroughly believe just being nice and understanding to each other is the way to thrive, that doesn't mean that I don't have my opinions on privacy and who hears the things I deem private. I definitely do. I mean, if I get the wrong feel from a person, or just that they don't feel the right person to share things with, then I don't. I'll happily speak to them like a normal person, cracking jokes, etc. But I won't even touch anything deep or considered private, even if they do. See, I had an experience in my youth that caused me to reconsider trust. And normally that would be a romantic relationship, but in my case, it was trust within people considered family, changing my view on who was actually someone I trusted, and quickly realizing it was a very limited number of people. And then after even more time, it almost gets reinforced by the lack of attempts made to keep contact or the relationship going, and it makes you feel like you were just in the right place during the right time for them. Now, when I say that, that might come across as me being bitchy and being like they never tried, they weren't real friends, etc. But I'm just as liable. I also didn't make attempts. It's by no means a one-way street. It's both of us at fault. I give no excuses for myself. Those situations, though, make you think about the conversations maybe had with the people who once were familiar to you and your life, and the things that were spoken about. And although I don't think any of the people care enough to share my things, or are the type of people to do that, privacy is still important, and if I had the chance, maybe I wouldn't have said one or two things. But that's life though. That's the lessons it gave me. By no means am I complaining. I've done my fair share of complaining, and now I see that the things I complained about were the very things that molded the person I've become. Something unregrettable in my opinion now I've been able to think on it. The lesson given this time was finding out what I deem private, and not something wanted to be shared. And an easy thing for me to do was figure out who was actually friends and who were just acquaintances. See, for a long time I clung onto the idea of I have loads of friends. I'm not saying I was a popular kid in school, but I wasn't what would be considered a loser, although I don't really think that exists. I was just a normal kid in the middle. I went to the parties with the popular lot, as well as played sports and enjoyed actively engaging in conversation with the people that would be considered the losers. I mean, they definitely weren't, they just didn't fit into the kid parameters that deem you cool or popular. In fact, some of them became people that I feel fondest about when I think of school memories. Now, as cutthroat as it might sound, since I've just glazed them a bit, I still wouldn't share things with them if we met now and interacted with each other. Even if that was over months of time speaking again, as to me they still would just be an acquaintance. I class friends as someone I truly trust and would feel comfortable calling in a time of need. I would also say that, for me, the title of friend is semi-demanding, and again, that's on me. I don't let my privacy affect my sociability though, and still speak to most people who are willing and wanting to engage in conversation, just like you should. Now, there is some people who don't mind who knows their business, what they like, the things they've gone through, and other details about themselves, and truly, I think that's a very powerful ability, but that is because it's what level of privacy they deem necessary. Now, I get sometimes you can't avoid some privacy. For instance, I'm able to hide my identity and that's something I really value having the choice in. But if I was an actor, that's not a choice. Even if they're just following a passion and not trying to be famous, they are. The more passion, the better you'll be, in my opinion. So in the acting world, I feel that would be most of the better known actors, and they have no chance of keeping stuff private. Even the useless things that truly nobody cares for, we get told. They literally have no privacy, and that is such a frightening prospect to me. Then there is the last thing to mention, and it's the privacy that you deem most private. The stuff that you don't even tell your friends, and maybe you don't tell your parents. Although I'd like to believe that the older you get, that the easier it is to share those deeper, darker things that you've been keeping a secret. If you don't, that's okay. We all have things we hide and keep secret, and we all have values of things. For me, I deem privacy very important, so much so that I don't even want to make a Discord for the channel. Although I have been asked, and it would probably be the best thing for growth, I'd rather just keep this to what it is. Me just rambling about life from my perspective on YouTube and interacting with yous via this. If it stunts growth, so be it. Passion will prevail, and I'm passionate. I will also say, just like I did in reply to the comment from Festering Fingerprint Vicodin, that it's silly to completely write off a Discord in the future. Just as of now, I don't feel the want or need for it. Hopefully something you guys understand, although I'm sure you will. That's just where I deem my privacy, after much time thinking about it, as well as thinking of the experiences I've been through, and I think that's all you need to do. Think about your privacy, think about the things you've gone through, think if the things you want to keep private are things worth keeping private, or you're just hurting yourself. Like, there's no reason to keep what you had for dinner private, we all eat, but there is a reason to keep how much you spent on food, either from the store or if you ate at a restaurant. Well, there is if you value that within your privacy, which is why you should think on it. Let it be what you feel. It's not for me to say how private or open another human being should be. It's up to you. The things you value is tight-lipped or blabberable. It's all in your hands, just like many things. So just keep your head up, don't overthink it too much, and stay on course. Stay committed to you and helping yourself. I think that's all for me though. Thanks for listening to me ramble about the world from my perspective. See you later, and stay safe.